going to be the speaker at Swimming Club this afternoon. So you're going to hear Mr. Armand Spitz actually invent the machine, describe it today, and tell you what you're going to see. So Mr. Spitz is over in the booth there, and he's going to tell you about it.
Thank you, Mr. Hessler. And boys and girls, I think that you're going to see something new this afternoon. You are all familiar with the stars, I assume. Sometimes you're allowed to stay up late at night. Maybe not too late, but late enough that you can see the stars. Is there anybody here who's never seen stars? I hope not. At any rate, if you have actually seen the stars, you're going to be able to see the stars this afternoon. You may think that that's silly. You can't see the stars in the daytime. But you're going to see the stars in the daytime today. And then another thing, of course, is the fact that it's cloudy outside. And you don't expect to see the stars even in the nighttime when it's cloudy. But it doesn't make any difference when you come to the planetarium, because whether it's day or night or clear or cloudy outside, we can show you the stars. Not only that, but we can do a lot of things with this instrument, which is called a planetarium. It's a regular time machine and a space machine. Because before you leave here, I'm going to make you a couple of years older than you are right now. I hope you don't mind getting older that rapidly. Of course, I could make you younger too, but I don't think that most of you are so old that you have to worry about getting younger. There may be some of us who might prefer it, but the rest of us will just keep you about the present age, or maybe be a couple of years older. Let me see. I'm in Fort Worth now, right? You're in Fort Worth. But, you know where we're going to go this afternoon? We're going to go, well, we're going to take a look at the sky. We're not actually going to go to the sky. But we're going to go to the North Pole. And then I'm going to take you down to Panama, down near the equator. And then I'm going to take you on a trip that nobody has ever made before. Where? No, we're not going to go to space. We're going to go down to the center of the Earth. So that you have these things in store for you this afternoon. And I want you to watch with me as we let that machine do the things that it's capable of doing. It's a rather funny looking device, isn't it? Unless you've seen a planetarium before, I don't think you've ever seen anything quite like it. Because a planetarium is an instrument which is designed for a very special purpose. The purpose is to show you the stars so that you can learn about them very, very easily. And we're going to use that instrument to show you the stars of tonight, the stars of tomorrow night, the next year, and a year or so from now, and also of other places on Earth. Now, boys and girls, is there anybody here who has noticed that it's grown darker since I started? I'm very glad to know that you've noticed that. Because if you hadn't noticed it, you'd be asleep already. And I don't want you to go to sleep. So the important thing is that you observe that it has grown darker, and of course I'm doing that purposely. When it grows dark out of doors at night, you don't expect to see the stars right away. It takes a little while before you can see the stars. And here in the planetarium, we don't show you the stars as soon as the day is over. We let the sky grow dark gradually so that you can develop cat's eyes. So right now, while I'm talking to you, your eyes are becoming used to the darkness. And in a little while, when the stars come out, you're going to see them as you wouldn't be able to see them if I turned the sky on very quickly. Now, of course, I don't think, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I don't think that Fort Worth is going to have clear skies tonight. It hasn't been very clear all day long, and I wouldn't suggest that you'd have bad weather ever in Fort Worth, but I think it's going to be cloudy tonight. But I don't care whether it's clear or cloudy in the real sky tonight. This afternoon, we're going to show you the stars. Only we're not going to show you the stars from Fort Worth, because Fort Worth is a large city, and there's a certain amount of dust and haze and smoke in the sky. And there are lights from advertising signs and street lights and automobile headlights. And they cause a glare in the sky, and the sky is never clean and clear and black, as it is if you're in the middle of the desert or on the top of a mountain, or maybe in the middle of the ocean. But I'm going to show you the sky as we'd see it if we went far away from Fort Worth and climbed into a place where the sky is clean and clear and black, and then we'd look above us and we'd see the stars in their full glory like this. And this is a kind of sky such as you can see only under very rare conditions. And these stars are in their proper position for tonight. If it were going to be clear tonight, you'll see the skies like this. You'll have to wait for tomorrow night or the next night. But the important thing is that this afternoon, here in your new planetarium, I'm going to be able to let you see a preview of what you'll see in the real sky out of doors. I want to show you just a few of the things that this planetarium instrument can do. Because as time passes, you'll be coming back from month to month and seeing the new shows that are being put on in the planetarium. And you'll see how they fit in with your school work. And you'll enjoy all of it more because of the planetarium. And at the end of that time, you'll find that you'll be able to look above you and you'll see the stars as your friends. Now I have a way of pointing to some individual things in the sky. If you look overhead, you will see an arrow. You see my moving arrow? And I can use that arrow to point to things in the sky. Are there any Boy Scouts here? Or Girl Scouts? Or Cubs?
I am.
Good. Well, now, over here is a group of 7 stars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Anybody know what they are?
Yes.
The Big Dipper, certainly. That's fine. And these 4 stars are the bowl of the Dipper, and these 3 stars are the handle. Who knows what these 2 stars are called? The pointers. And why are they called the pointers? What do? They point to? The North Star. Well, you people know, well, I should let you do the talking. This is the North Star. If we were at the North Pole, and I'm going to take you to the North Pole in just a little while. If we were at the North Pole, that star would be standing overhead. But we're not at the North Pole right now. We're in Fort Worth. And therefore the star stands over there. Now, if that's the North Star, and you look at it, what direction are you facing? North. Now, suppose you turn your back to that star and look in this direction. What direction are you facing? South. Good. Now, you're facing south, remember? And you turn to the left and face in this direction. Now what direction are you? East. And then you look in this direction. West. You know a lot more about astronomy than some grown-ups who were here last night. I can tell you that, because some of them said that they were facing in the wrong direction, and that's really wrong. All right, now I just want you to remember where these directions are. And to help you, see, I can put the directions in the horizon. So we remember that this is north, and this is south, and over here is east, and over here is west. But I'm not going to leave those lights on. I'm going to turn them out and let you remember them for yourselves. Because you can remember right now just as easily as if those lights were on. All right, now let's look back at the Big Dipper again. You see, I don't have to point to it now because you can find it immediately, can't you? Remember, I pointed out the 2 stars, which we call the pointers, and they point downward to the left of the North Star. And then there's the handle of the Big Dipper, a curved line. And if you follow the curved line of the handle of the Dipper downward and to the right, you come to a bright star. You all see it? That star is called Arcturus. Now say that with me. Arcturus. Arcturus. Arcturus, right, that's right. Now, Arcturus is in a constellation which has a rather funny name. Its name is Boötes. Say that. Boötes. Boötes. Now, that's spelled B-O-O-T-E-S, but it's not pronounced booties. It's Boötes. Now we come down to this same line, this curved line, drawn from the handle through Arcturus, comes to the bright star Spica. Say that. All right. Now, let's see. What is this? Big Dipper. Spiker. Good. Now, we're going to go back to the Big Dipper again. Remember the two stars that I pointed out and said that they were the pointers? You told me that they were the pointers. Now, there are 4 stars in the bowl of the Dipper, aren't there? The star is rather faint where the handle of the Dipper joins the bowl of the Dipper, but I want you to draw a line from that star down through this star in the bowl of the Dipper, and that points to this star over here. And the name of that star is Regulus. Regulus. And this star is called Denebola. Regulus and Denebola are a part of a constellation called Leo. And Leo is a lion. Now you may look up there and say, well, that doesn't look much like a lion. And I'll admit, boys and girls, it doesn't look very much like a lion, either to me or to you. But that doesn't mean that it has to look like a lion. As I told the people who were here last night, this planetarium is named in honor of a teacher of Fort Worth. Her name is Miss Charlie Noble. And this planetarium is the Charlie Noble Planetarium. But the planetarium doesn't look like Miss Noble. It is simply named to honor her. And this constellation, say that word, constellation. Constellation is a family group of stars. And this constellation is named in honor of a lion. And here we see it. Regulus. This looks like the handle of a sickle. There's the curved blade. Or it looks like a reverse question mark, doesn't it? That's the head of the lion with a shaggy mane. Here's his heart. There's his tail, and his legs come down here. Now I want to take a look at some other things before we let the sky move. Let's look over here in the west, near the western sky, and almost directly above me you see 3 stars in a short straight line. Do you see them? There are a lot of you people here who say that this is Orion's belt. You're absolutely right. This is the belt of a great hero in ancient days. His name was Orion. There's his belt. Here are 2 stars which are in his shoulders. Here are 3 little stars which form his head. And here are 2 stars in his legs. The belt of Orion, and the other stars in Orion mark another constellation. Now suppose we follow the belt of Orion over to the right, and we see an object there which looks like a star, a reddish star, but it isn't a star. That's the planet Mars. And Mars is in the sky tonight after sunset. Very close to the northern horizon, but that's where you'll see it. And just beyond the planet Mars, you see a little fuzzy group of stars. They look something like fireflies in the sky or diamonds in the sky. Those stars are the Pleiades. Say Pleiades. And the Pleiades are sometimes called the 7 sisters. And I want you to remember now that the Pleiades and Mars and Orion and Leo the lion with Regulus and Denebola and Spica and Arcturus and the Big Dipper and the pointers and the North Star. Boys and girls, if you never knew these before, you know them now. And you're not going to forget them. And we'll try them out just before you leave here, just to prove it. Now, we could go on and on and on, talking about many stars which can be seen in the sky, but I want to show you a lot of other things. And after all, since you're going to be coming back here frequently, I want you to see something new each time, and that's the reason I'm simply giving you a quick introduction to some of the things that the planetarium will show. One of the things that we can do with the aid of the planetarium, as I told you before, is to make time go very rapidly. I said a little while ago that this North Star is the star which stands overhead at the North Pole. Also, it's the star which appears to stand still in the sky while the rest of the stars move overhead. But you'll say then, gee whiz, the stars aren't moving, they're standing still. But don't worry, I know that. The stars are standing still right now because right now I have the brakes on the Earth. You see, the Earth is a huge globe, and it's constantly spinning around on its axis like a top. And every minute of our lives, the Earth moves underneath the stars from west to east. And every minute of our lives, the sky appears to roll over us from east to west. And if you watch carefully, you'll find that the skies will very shortly start to move, very, very gradually. And as they move gradually, you'll see stars rising over here in the east. And you'll notice that this star, for example, doesn't move up like that, it's moving up on a slant. And if we look over here, we find that the belt of Orion and this bright star, Rigel, are moving down on a slant. And we'll see that Orion goes down on a slant. And that's the way you'll see the stars rising and setting whenever you look at the skies from Fort Worth. Look for the Big Dipper now. You notice the Big Dipper isn't where you saw it before, is it? It's climbed higher in the sky. And look where Arcturus is, and Spica. And look where Regulus and Denebula are. They've moved all the way over here into the western half of the sky. And yet if you go to the pointers of the Big Dipper, you'll find that the North Star is exactly where you saw it before. Now, we've done two things. Or let me say we've done either one of two things. We have either gone through tonight until sometime tomorrow morning. You should be in bed by now because about 3 o'clock tomorrow morning. Or we can say that we've gone on till the beginning of summer. And in the beginning of summer, you'll see 3 bright stars in the form of a triangle. That star is called Vega, Altair, and Deneb. Vega, Altair, and Deneb form a large triangle in the sky. And you notice that triangle is on both sides of a band of hazy light, which we call the Milky Way. And the Milky Way is made up of the combined light of countless millions of stars so far away that we can just see a faint glow in the sky. This star, Deneb, is interesting, I think, because not only is it a part of that triangle, but it's also a part of the Northern Cross. That's the top of the cross, and this is the bottom. You see, that's the upright, and this is the crosspiece. Now something else has come into the sky. The moon, that's right. You all recognize it. And now something else has come into the sky. That's the sun. Only this is the strangest sunrise you've ever seen. I could make them very much brighter if I wanted to, or I could even make it so bright that you wouldn't be able to see the stars at all. But of course, if I made the sky so bright that you couldn't look at it, you couldn't see the stars at all, you would soon lose these cat's eyes that you've been developing, and then it would take many more minutes for you to become used to the darkness. So instead of doing that, I purposely keep the sun and the moon very faint, because I want you to be able to see the stars all the time. The stars are the most important things for us to look at. Now, if you had gotten up this morning, you would have seen that the moon was standing near the planet Venus. Now, I say if you had gotten up this morning, and if it had been clear. It wasn't clear. I know I was up. But I want to show you something else that can be seen. And because after a while, you find the moon changes its position. And while this is the position of the moon for a certain time of the month, in another day, we find that the moon moves from there to there. And then we find the moon moves from there to there. Only then we find it's a narrower crescent. And then we find the moon disappears completely, and then it comes back into view on the other side of the sun. And then it goes a little bit farther away, and we see it over here. So that as we observe the way in which the moon moves around the Earth, and the Earth moves around the sun, we can see a constant change. You see the moon right now is standing over there near the planet Mars. Now, if we want to, we can make the sky move very much more rapidly than we have so far. You can make the sky move so rapidly you'll become dizzy if you want to be dizzy. If you want to, we can turn time backwards. In other words, you can make it move forward almost any way at all. And we're going to watch once more the way in which the sky moves when we are watching it from Fort Worth, with the stars rising and setting as we look at it from here. And then we're going to travel away from Fort Worth. We're going to travel away from Fort Worth, and we're going to go, first of all, to the North Pole. And when we go to the North Pole, we'll find that there are certain changes that take place. Now look for our friend, the Big Dipper. Do any of you see the Big Dipper?
I do.
Where is it? Where is it?
I do.
It's in the northern star. Now we're going to travel toward the north. And as we travel toward the north, you'll see the North Star rising higher and higher and higher. And we're traveling much more rapidly than Buck Rogers or Superman can travel, because we're traveling about 5,000 miles a minute. And at that rate, you see, now we're up over Chicago. And now we're over, by the way, this has nothing to do with astronomy. Do any of you know what Chicago means? It means skunk smell. And the only reason I mention that to you now is because some of these names of the cities are very funny. Oshkosh, Tuscaloosa, and Kalamazoo. But some of the names of stars just sound very funny. I have 2 cats at home, and those cats are called Zubanesh Shamali and Zubanel Ganubi. And you may wonder why. I'll tell you why. Because there are 2 stars in the sky named Zubanesh Shamali and Zubanel Ganubi. And they happen to be northern claw and a southern claw. When these cats were kittens, their claws were very sharp, so I call them Zubanesh Shamali and Zubanel Ganubi. Now notice that as we've been talking, we've been traveling farther and farther to the north. And if you look up there, you'll see that the North Star is almost directly overhead. And here we are at the North Pole. And look at the sun over there, near the horizon in the northwest. And you'll notice that it's not rising, it's not setting, it's moving around parallel with the horizon. And if you look at all the other objects in the sky, you find them moving parallel with the horizon. And nothing rises and sets, of course it does. And for the 6 months of the year, when the sun's above the equator of the earth, during our spring and summer months, the sun never sets at the North Pole. Therefore, there's 1 day and 1 night a year. And that 1 day and 1 night are each 6 months long. And you'll notice how the sky moves here. Now let's leave the North Pole and let's travel farther south. And of course, if we travel south, the sky moves north. And as we let the sky move north, we find that we're coming down over Greenland. And now we're back over Canada, and now we're coming back over skunk smell. Now we're back over St. Louis. Here we come to Oklahoma City. Here we are at Fort Worth. Now we're going down to Corpus Christi. And now we're over the Gulf of Mexico. And here we are down very close to Panama. And if you look at the sky now, you'll find it's moving in still a different way. Because the stars aren't moving parallel with the horizon. They're moving at right angles to the horizon. They're moving straight up, straight down. So you see, as we watch the sky moving like this, we find that we can travel from place to place very, very easily, very quickly, and just as easily as we made the trip, we can come back home and here you are in Fort Worth. So I promise you, I am taking you away from a place where you really belong. Now, I promised you that I was going to take you one other place before we finish, and I think we'll do that, and then suggest back with your friends. You urge your teachers to bring you back as often as you possibly can, and by all means tell your mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters and your cousins and uncles and aunts about it, so that they can come to the planetarium too. But I want you to remember now that we're going to leave the surface of the earth. A little while ago you were looking at some animals. Now I'm going to show you what it would look like if you were an animal which went down under the surface of the earth. The first thing I want to do is to remind you that if we were to go down below the surface of the earth, you wouldn't expect to see any stars, would you? You wouldn't expect to see the sun or moon or planets. Therefore, we simply erase those. And we're going to erase the stars and the planets. And then we look above us and we see the shadows of the continents. And here we are underneath the continent of North America. You see here is Florida. There's the Gulf of Mexico and Yucatan. Here's Cuba. There's Panama. Here's South America down here. This is Mexico and California and Alaska and Greenland and Hudson's Bay and Labrador. Here's my home in Philadelphia. There are the Great Lakes. Here's Fort Worth right here. So you have gone down to the center of the Earth. Now, if the Earth were letting light come through the oceans, and you saw the shadows of the continents, this is what you would see. But now let's make believe the Earth was made of glass, and you could look out through the Earth, and you would see the stars. And as you watch the stars, they would be overhead at a certain place. And then we watch the stars moving, and see that the stars drift from east to west across the sky. And we cross the continents too. And here are fundamental ideas of geography, fundamental ideas of the earth on which we live, and the sky under which we live, which I assure you you're going to enjoy talking about many, many times when you come back to the planetarium, and you'll be surprised to know how often you're going to refer to the planetarium in your classroom work. And after you have become used to coming to the planetarium, after your teachers bring you back here time and time again, you'll find that it becomes a lot more fun to learn almost everything. Now, let me see. What time did you come here to the planetarium today? 2 o'clock. Is that 2 a.m.? 2 p.m. You're all sure it was 2 p.m.? Did you ever stop to think what's the difference between a.m. and p.m.? One is morning and one is afternoon. But I wonder if you know why. I can show you the reason why with the planetarium. Oh, all right, son, I can take care of this. If you use your imaginations, you remember the north point in the sky was over here, wasn't it? And the south point was over here. And if we draw an imaginary line across the sky from the north to the south, through the zenith, the spot directly overhead, you can imagine a line there. You just try very hard to imagine it. I'm very glad you can see it. Your imaginations are very good. Now, if we were to put the sun in the sky, and I'm not going to do it right now because we just don't have the time, but if we were to put the sun in the sky, it rises over here in the east and it climbs higher and higher and higher until it stands on the meridian. And the meridian is where the sun is at noon. Now, all of this time is before noon, or before the meridian, or ante-meridian. Say ante-meridian. That is a.m., ante-meridian. That means morning. But the very moment that the sun crosses the meridian, goes into the afternoon sky, it's past the meridian, or post-meridian, or p.m., and that's the reason you came here at 2 p.m. Now, you have all seen a globe of the Earth, and you know that it spins on an axis, a rod which is sticking up from the North Pole to the South Pole, or the South Pole to the North Pole. And halfway between the two poles there's an equator, and there are lines that are marked on the globe. Well, there are lines that are marked in the sky, too. The astronomer uses those to help him to study and to identify positions. And we can draw these lines on the sky. And these lines on the sky move with the stars. But then if we add the meridian to it, we find that the meridian stands still and the other things move across it. And then if we want to add still something else to that, we can add the inside-out Earth. And all these things fit together so that you can study a great many different things in the planetarium with a great deal of ease. Now we're going to erase these for just a moment, and then we're going to take a look at a few more things before we finish. I want you, first of all, to look over here and remember the positions are different. What's this group of stars? The Big Dipper. What's that? Arcturus, that's right. What are these two stars? North Star. Fine. Now it just so happens that the other stars that we had looked at are not in the sky right now. But you're going to see these others from time to time as you come back here. And I think it's important for you not only to look at the stars when you come to the planetarium, but to use the planetarium to help you to make friends with the stars. Now don't try to remember all the stars at first. You just can't do it. Nobody can. But if you do look at the stars when you come to the planetarium, and then go out of doors the first chance that you have, you'll find that it won't be very long before you'll be making friends with the stars. And once you start making friends with the stars, you'll find that it's possible to know many, many more than you ever dreamed that you could learn. And once you learn them, I promise you'll never forget them. And you'll learn the stories of the stars. You'll learn other things too, which will make it a lot of fun. Now, maybe you've noticed that the sky has grown a little bit brighter. And as the sky grows brighter, the stars grow a little bit dimmer. And it won't be very long before we'll be able to look over in the east, and we'll find a very faint glow of light, which marks the place where very shortly the sun is going to come up. And as the sun comes up, you naturally expect to see the entire sky grow brighter. And as the sky grows brighter, the stars disappear. And when we see the sky coming back to its golden dawn, we actually can see that the entire color of the sky changes. And at the beginning of the morning, I say, good morning to everybody, and come back as often as you can.